Well, like so many of you, I am keeping my eye on Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am praying for that city, where in this week, next week, we're going to probably get a verdict in the trial against Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. And yet I'm reminded that regardless of the outcome, regardless of the verdict, as followers of Jesus, as the church, we've got work to do. And we must come together in this work. And so within 48 hours of that verdict, we're going to have a gathering. Our Undivided community is going to come together. I want you to be there. It's going to be an opportunity to worship together, to pray together. Also an opportunity to build community and build resolve for the ongoing work of racial healing, solidarity, and justice that will remain for all of us to engage in. And I'm reminded that last summer I had a chance to interview Roger Floyd, the uncle of George Floyd. And as I watched that video again, I decided I wanted to share it with you because I think his words of wisdom, godly wisdom, are as relevant in this moment as we await this verdict as they were last summer.
My name is Roger Floyd. I'm George Perry Floyd Jr.'s uncle. My brother, his father, was 2 years my senior.
I'm Thomas McLaurin, and I'm George Floyd's oldest cousin.
We're here with our church, and obviously you're here as well. The commitment march was yesterday. How are you feeling seeing all the people who gathered yesterday?
I think it was a phenomenal presentation of commitment where all ethnicities came together and for one cause. It was peaceful, and we're so appreciative of that because sometimes the gatherings like that can get a little disrupted. Certain infractions create distractions, and it takes away from the message. But as far as George is concerned, he was an humble individual, large in stature, but a very mild heart, one that never really met a stranger. And that's, they called him Big Floyd, because of his stature. But he was really a gentle giant. And with that in mind, individuals just really had to get to know him because he loved to wear, he's a bodybuilder, and he loved to wear the T-shirts, if you will. And just to see him coming down the street or something like that, he could be very intimidating. Yeah. But have an opportunity to interact with him, that's what made the difference. And that's what he was all about. Because he comes from a family who loves deeply, and that was a part of his growing up. And that's what his training and development was all about. Yeah.
I mean, as I'm sure you've heard from thousands and thousands of people, we grieve with you in this tragic, tragic summer, what it's been for your family to have to walk through this. I'll just be honest and tell you, as I watched, as so many people did, the incident happen and then the aftermath of it, the hope that I would have, and I hope that you feel this way, is that it wasn't just about people coming to gather in Washington, but a country changing.
Yes, definitely.
A country changing, hearts changing, laws changing.
Yes.
To make sure that this doesn't happen and continue to happen in our country.
Because I think the world now has realized that there's true systemic racism and what has resulted from that type of mentality moving forward. But now it's truly out in the open. You would have to be living under a boulder not to really see what is going on. As I said earlier, especially my white brothers and sisters coming together as one, because we are so much more together than we are apart. Because there's so many commonalities. Yes. Because we're human beings. We're part of the human race.
All created in God's image.
All
of us.
But there's a lot of emphasis now on Black Lives Matter. Well, the emphasis there because there's such a disproportion of that exposure, what you see in the media every day and what you see right there in your face. This is what's happening. That can no longer be denied. If you have a heart to change, because first of all, it starts with an individual. What is in your core being that would change, impact your life to be a better person for yourself and then for others around you to make them better? That's my core belief. That's what my prayer is every single day. And we can do this in peaceful harmony.
Yes. One question I'd love to ask you as well is, we're here and we're with the church in Cincinnati. What would you say to the church in this moment, specifically to people of faith who follow Jesus in this moment in our country?
Well, this is an opportunity for the church to really step up to the plate and spread the word. Keep the message the same. Keep it positive. That's what God would want. Because, you know, when God is blessing, you know, the devil is constantly messing all the time, you see. So we have to keep that in the forefront of our spiritual brothers and sisters that say, yes, we can promote change by our own personal actions, okay, that we have the same message every day, and that we have to call their names out in your prayers. And we know that there have been a multitude of prayers for our family, because we know that God has a plan.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
George's death will not be in vain. You can just see it here in the States. You can see it outside of the States. It is truly a global phenomenon.
It is.
And change will come about. And when I mean change, I'm talking about real change. Where individuals realize there are significant consequences for your actions. Right, but laws have to be in place. And you see, over the years, you see these bad police officers. Because I believe in my heart of heart, 95% of them are good.
That's right.
You know, when you start talking about defunding and those kinds of things, we have to be very conscientious about that, very careful. Because there's certain training that needs to be in place. Identify those areas where there's a lack of and put that in the forefront of their training. But yes, there has to be more vetting of police officers as well, or candidates for police. Yes, that's critically important. But as a result, that's what's going to bring about change. And if they do wrong, they will suffer the consequences for their actions.
That's right.
But when you see it nowadays, Big Brother's watching everywhere. And it's out there. It's, again, it's right there in your face. You saw what happened to my nephew. That was intentional. He was murdered on the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, right there. And Chauvin basically looked right into the camera and he said, with his knee on his neck, saying, yes, I'm doing this. But for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, but what was so devastating about it all, you know, losing his life, ultimately, obviously, but when he called out for my sister-in-law, that was so, it was just so, it breaks your heart.
It does.
Truly, it breaks your heart.
It does.
And, but I knew at that point, I just felt like she was there, just saying, I'm here, son. Just come on. Let's go. Let's go, and we'll see your father again.
Pastor, if I could just add something to that. The day afterwards, because I was in shock for probably a month, to be honest with you. But the day after, just before I lay down to sleep, Psalms 54, and it came to me as Psalm 54:47. I'm like, there's not 47 verses in Psalm 54. No, Psalm 54 verses 4 through 7. And I want to say to you, when I heard them say you're the pastor, you have a tremendous, tremendous calling. I mean, you have a flock following you. Tremendous following. I would just love for you to, in your quiet time, your study time, read that and see how God speaks to you with Psalm 54, verses 4 through 7.
I receive that. I will.
That's what I would say to the church. I'm saying it to you, and let you deliver how God gives it to you.
Thank you.
All right.
I would love, as a minister of the gospel, and it is very clear to me that you are your brothers not just because of our cultural heritage, but your brothers even deeper because of our spiritual heritage, what we share in Jesus Christ. I would just love to pray for you in this moment and pray for your family if you'd let me do that.
We would welcome you.
All right.